All right, today on the ropes, I'm out here pound for pound out here in Vegas. I have the pleasure to be with the Barrientes twins. Dad, how you doing today,
How
sir?
you doing, man?
All right, let's take it all the way back, man. Where you originally from?
I'm originally from Seattle. Grew up in Seattle, then made my way to Hawaii, and then from Hawaii we moved here when the boys were young. So now I call Las Vegas home.
When did you get started with the sport of boxing?
You know what? I've always been around the sport. My uncle ran like a nonprofit in Seattle. His name is Albert Barrientes. He trained, man, like 30 years. All my cousins were in the sport. My dad background was kung fu, so I kind of like did kung fu, and but I was always the one that was sparring all my older cousins. It was kind of like kung fu versus boxing all the time, when we got in the ring. But my dad was more along the lines of the martial arts, So I really didn't compete as a kid. I just did a lot of sparring as a kid.
Besides your family, who else did you have a chance to get experience as far as the sport of boxing?
In boxing, when I moved here to Vegas, I had a coach by the name of Kenny Adams that was in my gym training pros at the time, and he had a bunch of pros, up and coming pros, so I was able to kind of like soak up a lot of knowledge from him, as far as like the technical part of boxing. And he was like an all-Army coach, he was an Olympic coach, so that man has a lot of knowledge in the game as far as like amateur boxing, so I came from like the old school Mexican style boxing, where it wasn't as technical. It was more about like the brute, like who's the strongest, in the ring. But when I kind of like Kenny opened my eyes up to a lot of the technical part of it.
Now, I wanted to go back, being in Hawaii, what was that experience like, and what was the deciding factor to actually come back over to the States?
You know what, Hawaii's, I mean, it's paradise, I coming from Washington, I went to Hawaii to visit, and it's like, man, it's a no-brainer. Like, you go somewhere where it's raining all the time to somewhere where it's beautiful weather-wise, and people are friendly, and so I was able to spend some time out there. And then, having kids out there, it's very expensive to live there, so we had to like relocate to a place that's more, affordable, and it ended up being Vegas,
Now, did they get started boxing there in Hawaii, or was it until they got here in the States?
Well, you know what, I named Chavez after Julio Cesar Chavez, so I was always a big boxing fan, so they really didn't start, never even really thought I was gonna train them. At 7 years old, I kind of moving around trying to find a gym where they could train at, or and then it just kind of like fell in my lap, and when I really got serious about training them, I actually opened up a gym here, and that was like 11 years ago. When they were 7, I opened up a gym, and and I just wanted to be a part of that process. I was that much of a fan, and that much into the sport that I was like, what, I think I can do this.
Was Chavez your favorite fighter?
Chavez at the time, he's one of my favorites. Like one of my Mexican fighter for sure. Him, Marquez, Morales. I lost so much money betting against Pacquiao. I'm a Pacquiao fan too now. Got tired of losing money against him. But yeah, that's that's what it is. That real, in the Mexican culture, like, man, boxing is part of the culture. It's not even if you're a fan. It's just part of the culture.
Now, were you able to ever get a chance to meet Julio Cesar Chavez?
No, I've never met him. I've met Pacquiao, but I've never met Julio Cesar Chavez yet.
Is that something you would love? I know that's something you would love to do one day, man.
Of course. We've met a lot of people being here in Vegas. Having a gym here, we've held a lot of camps for a lot of the guys that fought Mayweather, and a lot of I run more of a private gym here, so it's real low key, so we get a lot of the guys that don't want the cameras,
Speaking on that, where you were talking about being low key, why was that important for you to keep it that way? Because I heard you in a previous interview talk about that, how you wanted to keep it mainly with professionals.
I think, especially nowadays with social media, like everybody's about the hype, how many followers you got, how many, and that's part of the game now. I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of part of the game. But I truly believe, like, just stay winning, man. You know, you get, you know, the people in your gym, if they stay winning, you know, the true audience, you know, the true boxing fans know who the winners are. You know, it's just the way it is. You know.
You know, speaking on that, having that old school mentality of just win, to where what you see today, does that kind of rub you the wrong way? To where you have the what we call the internet boxers.
You know what?
And the hype.
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of the game now. You know what I mean? You see boxers before kind of had to prove themselves in the ring and work their way up through the rankings, you know. And now, I mean, you know, you got, you know, YouTubers headlining shows, you know what I mean? So it's just a sign of the times, you know. And you kind of you gotta go with it, you know what I mean? So you gotta embrace that. So not only can, you know, it's a plus if you can box and you have skill, and you have followers and you got the personality to go with it, you know what I mean? Like, it's just part of the times, man.
Now let's go back to your son's amateur days. When did you first notice, like, I have something special in my twins?
I think when they were about 12 years old, man. You know, like when they started boxing, I kind of learned with them, you know what I mean? I really didn't know about the politics of boxing and the amateurs, and, you know, I kind of just went with it. Me and another coach in my gym, DJ Zamora, we were kind of like, didn't know about the amateurs. So, you know, we didn't know that, you know, when you go to Cali, they're gonna rob you, or you go here, they're gonna, you know, we didn't know like the judges are their parents and stuff like that. We didn't know that. So we just trained hard and threw our kids in there and, you know, and started, you know, just really working on good fundamentals and stuff like that. And then I say when they're about 12 years old, I think my son didn't lose for like 4 years in a row. I mean, we hit every California tournament, we hit national tournaments, we just started winning like everything. So at that time, I was like, you know what, man, like, I think these guys really got something. You know, I really think that if they stay on this track, you know, they're gonna be something that's people are gonna have to deal with by the time they're 18 and in their early 20s. They're gonna really do damage, you know.
At any time, was there ever a thought process of going the Olympic route?
I mean, you know, they did really good in the amateurs, won a lot of national tournaments. They made the U.S. team, you know, together actually when they were, you know, 16 years old. They made the U.S. team and they got to travel internationally. One of them ended up with a silver medal in Hungary. The other one won gold medal in Hungary. You know, the following year, one of them made the team again. They went to Bulgaria, won another gold medal. You know, so I mean, that was part of the plan, was to make the Olympics, you know, 2020. But because of the age, you know, they started, USA Boxing changes the rules constantly. You know, one year, you know, I think the year Shakur, you know, fought in the Olympics, 2016, it was all right to be 18 years old, you know, for that Olympics. And now, you know, 2020, you got to be 19, you know, and my sons were only turning 18 this year, so we kind of missed it by a year. So that was the deciding factor in us going pro. Just, we can't wait another 4 years, you know?
Exactly.
These are like, you know, they're grown men, man. You got to, like, you know, you got 2 more grown men in your house. That's a lot to feed, you know?
No, I get it, Coach.
Yeah, for real, you know?
What's one of the best experiences you had traveling to a boxing event?
I just like, you know, like my gym here, we just take pride in like everybody competing on a high level. So, you know, we've been to a lot of major tournaments. I loved going to ringside, you know. Ringside was like kind of like in the Midwest. So you had the East Coast, you had the South, you had Texas, you had us from the West Coast, you had everybody, a mix of everything. You had a bunch of, you know, East Coast champions, West Coast champions, and you kind of all met up in this like Super Bowl of amateur boxing. You know, 6 rings, you know, everybody, 2 weigh-ins. It was just crazy, you know. It's like the ultimate, you know, like showdown between all the boxers, you know. And so I think I think we only went like 2 or 3 years while it was going on, but that was one of the best, the funnest times, you know. It's hectic, you know. We go out there with like 10, 11 kids, you know, and but it was the funnest, man. I think those were like, that was better than the big national tournaments, you know what I mean? Because it was fun, and it was just genuine. Like everyone was there just to fight. There was politics, but not as much because you had so many judges from different areas that it kind of made it fair.
Well, that's good. That's
you know
good.
what I mean? Kind of made it fair.
You know, besides your boys, do you train any other fighters also as well, or do you even have time now?
You know what? I do have we had a solid team. I mean, all the way through the amateurs, you know. I mean, you ask anybody on, you know, anywhere in the amateur boxing about pound for pound boxing, you know, people know that if they saw us on the other side of that bracket, they knew they were going to have to fight when they got to us, you know. They kind of pretty much knew it was going to be us and them, you know. So I have little guys that I have an 8-year-old son right now, so I'm going to go through the amateurs again. So I'm not done with the amateurs. So
you're going to go through that process all over again.
You know, so I mean, you know, but I'm going to go through it older and wiser. You know what I mean? Kind of knowing how the system works, what tournaments to hit, what not to, you know, not to waste my time on. You know, just know how to maneuver a little bit better. You know.
How does he feel about his older brothers?
You know what? He loves the sport. He grew up in the gym, you know. I got an older daughter that's, you know, 22 now, and she made the U.S. team. You know, she made the team when she was 16. When Shakur, she was on the team with Shakur, and then when they started having the girls travel the first year, like with Clarissa Shields, and then they all made the team. She made the team, and she was able to travel internationally. So now both my twins made the team. Now my little guy, he got big shoes to follow in. You know, we always talk about it like, hey man, you gotta get in this gym and you gotta make the team just like your brother and sisters did. You know. Does
he feel he has a lot of pressure on him to live up to the standards of his brothers?
He's just a kid. You know, I try to keep boxing fun for him.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You know, even the boys, I really tried to like keep boxing in the gym, and I didn't take it home. So, you know, he's ahead of the game already. Just growing up in the gym, you know, he's ahead of the game. You know, just watching and soaking everything in. You know, he's 8 years old and he's like feigning and, you know, doing stuff that 12 and 13-year-old kids are doing. You know.
Now I gotta ask, what was the experience like for the first time to see your boys as professional boxers to get that first win?
You know what, like we've always been real confident. You know, we put in the work in the gym, and you know, we started out in Mexico. We fought in Mexico a few times. So you know, we just fought on PBC. That to me, that was like really their first debut fight. You know. The other fights in Mexico were cool, but they kind of only lasted one round. You know, the competition wasn't really tough. You know, it was just kind of breaking the ice. You know, so when we fought on PBC, you know, it was a whole nother thing. It was a production. You know, we had to do the whole COVID testing. You know, so like you're doing testing so far in advance that your opponents know we knew who we were going to fight since March because the fight kept getting pushed back. So with that being said. You know, our opponents had 5 months to get ready for us. We had 5 months to get ready for them. So, you know, when you get in there and you have so much time to get ready for each other, you know, it's going to make for a good fight, you know. And I think everybody saw that in their fights, even though that these guys were young, they had game opponents with good experience, you know, so it made for good fights.
You know, with boxing now, the way the rule changes have been since the COVID-19 and the pandemic, what is life in the bubble like?
You know, it's pretty crazy, you know, because with all the testing that goes on, you know, some of the testing, you know, isn't 100%, so people are getting false positives, and, you know, you're pretty much just locked down until you're allowed to leave the room, and you got to be negative, and then, you know, and then even the food situation, you know, it's like, you know, you can't leave, so you're only eating the food they're giving you, you know, so, you know, unless you brought your own food, it's like pretty much you're stuck with eating what they, you know, moving when they want you to move and working out when they want you to work out. So it's a little bit tough, but, you know, it's just part of the times now.
You know, what that being said, it's almost like you have to already be pretty much at weight or, you know, or close to it going into that bubble because you're so limited on the way you can move.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I heard you can't even leave the floor.
You can't leave the floor, man. You know, you're pretty much, you know, they got a little barcode on you. Every time you move, you go to the elevator, they check you in and out, you know. So yeah, you definitely can't, you know, put the, you know, the sauna suit on and hit the blocks, you know what I mean? They got a treadmill in there, you know, you work out in a room, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, in your opinion, how long you think this will be as far as the new norm in boxing with the bubble?
I kind of don't see it going on too much longer. I mean, I don't know about the other networks and stuff, but I know PBC did a good job with doing blood tests and stuff. So if you had the virus before, your blood showed you have the antibodies. You know what I mean? So I kind of think that's where they're going to go with it. Because a lot of people have been tested and they're getting tested multiple times, and I don't know how accurate that testing is. But I know the blood test, if you had the virus and you show antibodies, that means you can't spread it. You know what I mean? So I kind of think that they're going to start leaning towards doing the blood test and stuff. But who knows? That's just my guess,
Now they aren't signed yet, but I'm quite sure right now you got a lot of promotional companies really looking at your boys right now.
You know what? We actually did. We ended up.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they with Bob Santos and they're working with Al, so it's pretty much a done deal. That's why PBC is our home now, and that's the route we going.
Has that ever been announced yet, or is this?
I mean, PBC pretty much. If you go to the website and stuff,
it's on there now.
Yeah, it's on there pretty much.
Now, how exciting is that to be involved with the PBC?
Oh, it's great. I mean, they're probably, if not the best, one of the best, routes to go. Especially nowadays with, the whole streaming services and stuff like that. You get a lot of exposure, if not on regular network TV, you got the FS1 and the whole Fox thing going on. So it's all positive, man. The more people that see them, the more fans they get and the more demand it is. It's all about, and then social media and, it's all about being seen, man.
How active do you want them to fight in a year?
I mean, we're going to take it on a fight. Every fight's different, and it just depends on the dates and stuff like that. But like even right now, stuff's moving around now as far as like the dates and audience. So like they're going from Connecticut to Texas, from LA to Texas. Wherever they can have an audience. So it's just pretty much up to the management, and we're just entrusting them, and we got good management. Bob Santos is a great guy, and I know he's gonna lead us in the right direction. So I'm just here to train them. At the end of the day, I'm the trainer, they the fighters, and we're gonna let management and them handle that part of it, and we're just gonna do what we're supposed to do.
Just on your side of things, what would you like for the timeline to be to get them into that position where they're in contention for a world title?
Well, you know what? I think at their weight now, like at that 122, I mean honestly, we started at 118, and I mean. We walked into the ring fight night at 127, so I mean, they could actually still make 118, but like, they're growing kids. We don't want to stop them from growing. So realistically, they're young, and I say within the next 2 years, they have enough experience. And being here in Vegas, I mean, we spar everybody, man. We sparring. Man, there's so many people, that I can name that come through Vegas, that.
Because they were recently in with Tank recently.
We sparred Tank, we sparred Felix Verdejo, we sparred Jesse Magdaleno, we sparred Julio Ceja, we sparred Brandon Figueroa. I mean, the list goes on. Yeah. I mean, from 35 to, 18, Casemiro we sparred, a lot of the guys, and some of the up and coming guys too, anytime somebody comes in and they know, we always get the call, they know we got the twins, they know they can go, so we always get that call like, hey, can you guys spar? And we never turn down work, man. We take it all, just it's good for them, it's good for their growth, it's good for their confidence, and I mean, we're not in there messing nobody up, but we in there hanging with them,
Speaking of that, with your sons, man, they're growing, man. They tall too, man.
Yeah, they pushing 6 foot. So,
how high do you see them going up over their career?
Yeah, I think they're gonna do their biggest damage probably at the 30, 35, but I see them going up to like 40 and 47 easily. Just because of their height. Just because of their height.
Man, I truly appreciate your time, Coach,
Hey,
man, for allowing me to come in.
Yeah.
definitely want to thank Coach Daryl Oxenhill for making the connection for
Oh
me.
yeah, definitely, man. They're good people, man.
And I appreciate your time as always, Coach.
All right, thank you, man.
All right, on the ropes, we out.